Hey everybody, it is almost the end of backpacking season, unless you're a winter backpacker. I don't know what is going on with this year and this summer, but I have seen so many people do so many stupid things in the backcountry that I thought it was time to make a video of all of the things to do to stay alive in the backcountry. And some of these things are just so asinine that it just blows my mind. I think I've got 20 on this list, might be 21, I guess we will see. But the very first thing that I've seen so much this year, that I just can't believe it, is people walking up to wildlife to take photos. And not just any wildlife, but bears and moose and things that can really hurt you. I've been chased by a moose. I've had a moose come at me out of the bush when I was on my mountain bike, full force, and I had to pedal as hard as I could, and the moose just literally almost grazed my back end as it was going through. Moose are nothing to trifle with, and bears are definitely nothing to trifle with. I have seen so many people stop on the side of the road, get out of their car, walk up to a bear to take photos. It's just crazy. Not just people, but people with their kids. I saw a video the other day of somebody who walked up to bison with their kid, and the bison was coming at them full force, and they had to throw their kid behind a tree. Like, what's wrong with you people? It doesn't matter what it is. If it's wild, don't go near it. Even if it's cute and furry like a marmot. A marmot's got teeth and claws. Just leave the wildlife alone. Don't feed them. Don't go near them to take pictures. If you see a bear on the side of the road, at bare minimum, stay in your car. Open your car window a little bit, take a picture, but not close to the bear. Stay away from the bear. A bear can still come at you when your car window's open. Just be careful out there, people. Deer are dangerous. Moose are dangerous. Elk are dangerous. Bighorn sheep are dangerous. If it's wild, just stay away. Don't be just not paying attention and get your camera out. Your bear spray needs to be out, not your camera. I mean, I've got bear video when we came across a bear and we couldn't get around the bear. The only way to get down the trail was to get past the bear, but we had a couple of adults with us with the bear spray out and ready. Everybody was making noise. Kids were behind us. We made sure that the bear walked off into the distance a lot further before we went by it. I mean, even then a bad situation can happen. Just be careful. Something else I've seen a lot of this year is people running in the backcountry, doing lots and lots of kilometers and bringing hardly nothing with them. Here in the Canadian Rockies, the weather is so variable. It could say that it's going to be a bluebird day in the forecast, and you get hail and rain and huge winds and a lightning storm if you're going over a pass. It doesn't matter if it says that it's going to be a bluebird day. Pack the essentials. By essentials, I mean carry a backpack. Something, of course, if you're going to go running, carry a running backpack. But carry something that can hold a few items. Like, make sure that you've got enough warm clothes, a puffy jacket, some gloves, a toque. Yeah, we call them toques here. A neck warmer. And make sure that you've got a rain jacket and rain pants. They can be a super lightweight rain jacket in the summertime and super lightweight rain pants if it's a winter time. Make sure you've got something that's for winter. Maybe a thicker pair of Gore-Tex pants and a thicker Gore-Tex jacket. Here's my running gloves that go over gloves that are waterproof. I carry these all the time with me. Here's just a simple Arc'teryx rain jacket, and it's really lightweight. Here's some lightweight pants. I mean, these weigh nothing. Just throw them in your pack. Of course, if it's wintertime, you're going to want stuff a little bit warmer. Like in the winter, I make sure that I bring my SK hoop skirt. It goes in my running pack. And I'm not even doing huge distances when I trail run anymore. I used to trail run long distances, but now it's like 10K. And I take all of this stuff with me, no matter what. I mean, what if you fall down and break your leg? I have had numerous times now where I've had to deal with somebody who broke their leg, and I had to stay with them for hours to try and get them out of the backcountry. And in that case, they're going to be freezing and you're going to be freezing until you get a rescue. Along with carrying proper gear out there is wearing proper footwear. I did East End of Rundle last year, and I could not believe the amount of people that were going up in little flip-flops or fancy shoes carrying their purses underneath their arm. because they thought they were just going on a casual hike. And they were halfway up East End Arundel trying to figure out how they were going to get down. Please wear proper footwear. I'm not saying you have to wear mountaineering boots everywhere. Heck, I wear trail runners half the time on the stuff that I do because it's just more comfortable for me. Don't go out there with a pair of road runners that don't have any grip. Don't go out there with flip-flops. I know that there's some of you out there that do barefoot running and barefoot walking and you're actually in your bare feet. Each to their own. But at least those people probably know what they're doing. And they probably have a pair of shoes in their pack. At least I hope so, just in case. Which brings me to carry a shelter. Carry some sort of shelter. You can carry a lightweight Dyneema tarp. You could carry something like this, which is an emergency bivvy. This one I got from Mountain Equipment Company. Here is another one. I mean, these things weigh hardly anything. And you can just throw them in your pack. You may never use it, but someday you might. Here's an emergency blanket. I don't really suggest just having an emergency blanket with you. I think you need something more like an emergency bivvy like these. But if you're going to carry a tarp, an emergency blanket is really great as a ground sheet underneath the tarp. And your clothing can be a shelter. I mean, if you've got a pair of Gore-Tex pants and a Gore-Tex jacket, that's considered a wearable shelter. So if at minimum you've got that, I mean, that's better than nothing. Something else to have in an emergency is your headlamp. What if you're stuck in the dark? What if you get lost? What if you have to find your way out in the dark or you have to stay in the dark with somebody who's injured? Take a little headlamp, or if you want to, throw in some glow sticks. Again, you may never use them, but just have them in your pack or at least have one. Always bring some kind of water filtration system. It could be emergency water tabs. Here's my emergency water tabs. Look at how lightweight that is. I mean, it's hardly nothing. But if you throw it in your pack, you'll be able to have water if you're by a stream. You can also take with you a water filter. These are so lightweight. There's the water bag. Here's the filter. If you get stuck out there, you'll have clean water at least and you won't get sick. Have a tiny first aid kit with some Band-Aids and some disinfectant and something for blisters. Bring some Advil or some Tylenol. There's a whole kit that I have that I bring with me when I'm going in the backcountry, but when I'm going for a run, I'll just throw a couple of tabs of Advil in my pack just in case. If you break your leg or something, it's really going to help you if you have to sit and you have to wait for somebody to come and get you. Something else that really makes a big difference, especially in the wintertime, is these little Hotties. Just a couple of these makes a huge difference keeping your feet warm or your hands warm if you get caught out in an emergency. Bring a lighter. And something that you can make a fire with, something that's combustible, like these solid fuel cubes from Esbit. Something you can make a quick fire with. In the summertime, it's a lot easier to find stuff that's dry to start a fire with if you get stuck out all night. These come especially handy in the winter. Throw some snacks in. Make sure you've got enough snacks for your run to keep you fueled, but some more snacks to keep you going for a whole next day if you get hurt. Something like this. Throw it in your pack. Just a couple of extra bars will do it. And bring an emergency beacon. This here is the Garmin InReach Mini. This is the first one. I'm still using this one. A lot of people have changed to the Mini too. This works well enough for me. This thing is so small. This, of course, is only to be used if you're in a lot of trouble. If you really seriously can't find your way out or you're really seriously injured. You wouldn't believe how many silly situations I've heard this year of rescuers having to go in and just rescue somebody who just decided they were too tired, just sat down in the middle of the trail and decided that they weren't moving, and the rescuers had to come and get them. Insane. This is last resort, unless, of course, you're using it for navigation, which brings me to my next point. Always, always have at least 2 ways to navigate. At least 2. If you know how to use a map and compass, bring a map and compass because you don't have to worry about battery life. If you don't know how to use a map and compass, I suggest you getting on the internet and finding out how. If you don't, you can always use your Garmin to navigate, or your Garmin watch, or your phone. Every single time I go out in the backcountry, it doesn't matter if it's on a route I've done a million times. I like to create myself a GPX track on Gaia GPS, and then I export that track to my Apple Watch. If it's not to my Apple Watch, then I use my Garmin software. I export the GPX track from Gaia and I import it in the Garmin software, which then puts it onto my Garmin watch. So I always have at least 2. And honestly, I have 3 because I also have this with me, which will tell me exactly where I am on a map, or I'll be able to give somebody else my coordinates where I'm at. And it also has a mapping app on your phone. And you can download the track onto that app and you can navigate with this thing. Something I also do is I make sure that I've got the alternate routes out from where I'm going in, especially in the summertime, because you never know when there could be a forest fire starting in your area. And it's always good to know exactly where you are and how you can get out. At least one more way to get out from where you're going in. And I'll usually download that map onto my watch and into my phone, just in case. And something else I do is I take a battery with me, something that I can charge my phone, my watch, whatever I'm taking with me. I've got this one. I've got another really lightweight Nightcore 10,000 milliamp one that I will take with me. If you're out there for any reason overnight and you have to get yourself out the next day, or you need to use your phone for a flashlight or whatever it is, it's always really nice to have something that will at least give you one charge. And even if you've got all of these devices on you, make sure that you tell somebody where you're going, what route you're taking to get in and get out, what time you're going to be back. And make sure that you communicate with that person when you get out. And you tell them, if I'm not out by this time, try and get a hold of me. Make sure that you've sent them a text message from your Garmin app so they can reply back to you. And then they can communicate with you and see if you're okay. And if they can't get a hold of you, then they can call the authorities. And better yet, hike with a buddy and tell somebody else where you are and what you're doing and where you're going and when you're going to be back. If you're with someone else, it's not usually both of you that are going to get hurt if you ever get hurt. And then you've always got somebody who can help you get out or help you if you get hurt, or even help you just read the map and try and figure out where you are. This may be controversial because some of you, it's really your thing and you just want to be alone and have your peace and quiet. Just make sure that you tell somebody where you are and the route that you're taking, when you're leaving, and when you're going to be home. Another tip is really research where you're going. Don't just take somebody's word for how hard a mountain is or how hard a route is or a backpacking trip. Research at least 3 different resources on the internet or talk to a bunch of people who have done the route that you're going to do. Make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into. Something really big this year has been people going in the backcountry, going on a hike that somebody said was real easy and they got into trouble. One example is there was somebody who died on Smuts this year. And Smuts, unfortunately, has been called a hard scramble by a lot of people. And it is. It's a hard scramble, but it also has class 5 climbing. And people get in trouble because they think that it's just a hard scramble and they'll be able to do it fine. And I've been on Smuts and I've done Smuts and I know it is hard. And going up isn't even the hardest part. Coming down is actually harder than going up. And so when you're going to do a route, find out exactly where you're going, print off the descriptions so that when you're sitting on the mountain and you're looking at different areas of the mountain, you can kind of pick and choose where you're going according to the details. You're probably not going to remember the description off the top of your head, so print it or take a picture of it on your phone or whatever you need to do. Don't just go on All Trails or Trail Forks and read descriptions there. Go to people's website that have written out, pages of descriptions of a route that have photos. Don't get in over your head. The last thing that you want is to have to be rescued or to fall to your death. And for the love, people, stop describing hard routes as easy. If it's hard, you thought it was hard, even if you didn't think it was hard, but other people are going to find it hard, say it was hard. If you're going to take the time to sit down and write a description of a route, actually tell people what it's like. You don't want somebody going out there on your description that something was easy and fall to their death. And take courses so that you understand how to safely move in the mountains. There's avalanche courses, there's crevasse safety courses, there's climbing courses, there's first aid courses, wilderness first aid. There's so many courses that you can take to make your experience and everybody else's experience around you a lot safer in the mountains. Don't go on a glacier if you've never taken a crevasse safety course. Don't go backcountry skiing if you've never taken an avalanche safety course or a crevasse safety course. Just basically don't get yourself into bad situations that you're not trained for or that you don't know anything about. And don't think that if you just go with your buddy who knows how to do everything, that it's going to help you out. What if it's your buddy that gets in trouble and you've got to get them out of a crevasse? Just make sure that even if you don't have experience, you've at least taken a course. Please don't forget that if somebody has to come out and rescue you in the mountains, you're putting them at risk. You're putting them at risk of an animal encounter or falling or getting in the same situation that you're in. Rescuers are all volunteers. Let's try and keep them as safe as we can and try not to use them. And if you're doing a scramble or a hard scramble, carry a helmet. I don't know how many times I've been in a situation where we've had rockfall just about kill us. If you think that you're going to be in snow or anywhere where snow could be, carry an ice axe. Carry some running spikes if it's not going to be that techy. Carry crampons if you have to. Don't go on a glacier if you don't have any glacier gear. I mean, even if you're alone and you're going on a glacier, which I do not recommend, by the way, take some glacier gear with you so that you could get yourself out of a situation that you wouldn't normally be able to get yourself out of if you didn't have it. And my very last tip is learn what hazards can be in the mountains. I've given you a whole list of hazards already, like inclement weather, wildlife, falling rocks. But there's other hazards too. Don't go right to the edges of things. You don't know when something could collapse. You don't know if snow could collapse, or if rock could collapse, or if just dirt could collapse. I don't know how familiar some of you are with a cornice, but a cornice is basically snow that looks like it's totally solid, but it's hanging over the top of a cliff on a mountain or a drop on a mountain. And if you walk on that cornice, it can break away and you just end up falling down the mountain. There's different hazards depending on where you are, and there's different hazards depending on what season you're in. In Moab, there could be flash flooding in a canyon. You may have flash flooding down a reservoir from a floodgate being opened up. There could be inclement weather. There could be lightning. And check the weather before you go and make sure that you're prepared for the weather. And when you get up in the morning on a backpacking trip, you can even use your Garmin to check the weather. It doesn't matter if it's going to be a totally bluebird day. I still pack my rain jacket and my rain pants. Thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have a crazy story to share of some time when you were not prepared, let me know in the comments. Don't be shy because they're all learning experience for everyone. And if you could, please make sure that you guys subscribe. We're still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next video.